You open your phone, you scroll. A friend just got promoted. Another just bought a second house. Your old classmate? Married, with twins, living a life that seems perfect. You pause, you look at your own life. A quiet thought appears. Am I falling behind? You try to ignore it. You remind yourself, social media isn't real. But the doubt still lingers. You start overthinking. Did I make the wrong choices? Should I have moved faster? Taken more risks? Said yes instead of no? Or no instead of yes? And now you're stuck in a silent loop of comparing, overthinking, and pressure. Let's pause right here. If you've ever felt like you're behind, if you've ever doubted your path, if you've ever lost sleep wondering why others seem so far ahead, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not behind. This video is a message to the part of you that is exhausted. The part that's been carrying invisible expectations. The part that's tired of comparing, but doesn't know how to stop. We'll go deep, not just with motivational words, but with real stories, real psychology, and timeless wisdom. Because the truth is, you are not late, you are not early, you are on your own clock. And it's time to trust it. Let's begin with a tough question. Where did you get the idea that you're behind? No one handed you a life schedule at birth. There's no universal calendar that says you must be married by 30, wealthy by 35, or successful by 40. And yet, somehow, we feel it. We feel like there's a race happening, and we're not keeping up. But who set the rules? Who said there's only one version of on time? In 1954, a psychologist named Leon Festinger proposed something called the social comparison theory. He said that humans determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others. It's natural, it's ancient. We've always compared our tribe, our territory, our status, but in today's world, where a 10-second scroll gives you a highlight reel of 100 people's lives, this instinct becomes a trap. You see, 100 years ago, you'd compare yourself to 10 people in your village. Now, you compare yourself to millions, celebrities, influencers, strangers, all of whom are carefully curating the most successful, filtered, edited parts of their lives. And here's the dangerous twist. You compare your real, raw, messy life to their scripted, staged, and polished highlight reel. No wonder you feel like you're behind. You're not comparing life to life. You're comparing your truth to their illusion. Ask yourself honestly, when you feel behind, what are you measuring against? A friend's salary? A classmate's wedding photos? A stranger's perfect-looking vacation? Now ask, are those real, full, unedited stories? Or just snapshots? Let's be clear, overthinking is not the same as being thoughtful. Being thoughtful means reflecting with clarity. Overthinking means spiraling, obsessively replaying the same doubts, fears, regrets. It makes you stuck. You don't move forward because you're too busy replaying the past or imagining a future full of failure. And guess what? Overthinking often starts the moment you start comparing. You think, maybe I should have taken that job in another city. Maybe I stayed too long in that relationship. What if I never catch up? These thoughts don't help you grow. They make you freeze. It's what psychologists call analysis paralysis. You're stuck in thought instead of action. Let's pause and look at a real story. At 31, J.K. Rowling was a single mother, unemployed, living off government assistance. Many of her peers were climbing careers, buying houses. She, meanwhile, was battling depression and rejection from publishers. Did she feel behind? Probably, but she kept writing. She didn't let overthinking stop her. She finished her book. She sent it out again. And eventually, Harry Potter was born. A story that changed millions of lives. Imagine if she had stopped herself with thoughts like, I'm too old to start. It's too late. Everyone else is ahead of me. We wouldn't have the books. We wouldn't have the magic. So here's the truth. If you're overthinking your timing, if you're telling yourself you're late, remember J.K. Rowling. She didn't follow anyone's timeline. She followed her mission. And that's what you need to do, too. As Theodore Roosevelt once said, Comparison is the thief of joy. At first glance, comparison seems harmless, maybe even motivating. But behind every glance at someone else's success lurks a dangerous whisper. You're not good enough. You scroll through social media. Someone bought a house, another got promoted, another launched a business, got married, had a baby, all before 30. And what do you feel? Not admiration, not inspiration, but pressure, insecurity, and the quiet ache of inadequacy. But here's the truth, you're comparing their highlight reel to your behind the scenes. You're comparing what they chose to show to everything you know about yourself, including your doubts, fears, failures, and unfinished work. That's not just unfair, it's toxic. The hidden costs of constant comparison. It steals your peace. Every time you measure yourself against others, you invite anxiety. You become restless, always wondering, am I enough? Am I late? It turns your mind into a battlefield. It blinds you to your progress. You've come far, but comparison erases that. You stop celebrating what you've built because you're too focused on what someone else has. It creates fake urgency. You start running a race you never wanted to run, a career you didn't choose, a lifestyle you don't even value, just to keep up appearances. Less than break time equals 0s, greater than it delays your growth. When you spend energy looking sideways, you're not moving forward. Growth requires focus. Comparison breaks that focus. It's not just about social media. Comparison happens in real life too. Your childhood friend already owns a business. Your cousin just got accepted into a prestigious program. A stranger your age is giving TED Talks. And so, your inner critic says, you're falling behind. But behind what? Who set this timeline? Whose life are you trying to live? Let that sink in. The more time you spend chasing someone else's version of success, the further you drift from your own. Instead of comparison, practice compassion. When you catch yourself comparing, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself, I'm on my own journey, and it's not a race. Then shift from comparison to curiosity. What inspires me about them? What values do I want to build my life around? What matters most to me, not just what looks good online? You don't need to catch up. You need to come home to yourself. Let's talk about the next part. Everyone has a different timeline. And we begin with a lie we've all been sold, the myth of milestones. You're not behind in life. You're just not living by someone else's deadline. From a young age, we're taught a script. Graduated at 22. Get a stable job by 25. Get married before 30. Own a house by 35. Retire at 60. Be happy. Be settled. Be accomplished. This silent checklist is deeply ingrained in our culture. And every year we don't check off a box, the pressure grows. We start to ask ourselves, am I behind? Did I miss the window? Is it too late? But here's the truth. Milestones are not universal truths. They are social constructs, timelines designed by culture, tradition, and fear. They don't account for who you are, what you love, or what life throws at you. Not everyone blooms at 25. Not everyone finds clarity in their 20s. Not everyone follows the same road, nor should they. So why do we keep measuring ourselves by a timeline that was never truly ours? Let's break down a few common beliefs. By 25, I should know what I'm doing with my life. Right pointing arrow. Why? Many people don't find their calling until their 30s, 40s, or even later. By 30, I should be financially secure. In today's world, with economic shifts, student debt, and inflation, this pressure isn't realistic for everyone. By 35, I should have a family. Right pointing arrow. What if you haven't met the right person yet? Or don't want kids, or have other priorities? These expectations were built during a different time, for a different world, but we keep dragging them into today, and blaming ourselves for not fitting into them. That's the trap. We mistake outdated expectations for failure, when what we're actually doing is living honestly. Life is not linear. Some people peak early. Some people bloom late. Some people rise, fall, and rise again, more than once. And that's not a weakness. That's life. Success doesn't follow a straight line. Neither does healing, growth, or meaning. The truth is, progress is messy, uneven, unpredictable, but always possible. So don't mourn the detours. Don't resent the pauses. They're not proof you're behind. They're proof you're becoming. The world tells us there's a deadline for everything. But history says otherwise. Because some of the most extraordinary lives didn't follow the right timeline. Some bloomed late, some fell behind, some paused, stumbled, and came back stronger, and yet, they made it. Because success doesn't expire. Neither does purpose. When you think of success, you might imagine the Zuckerbergs or the Billie Eilishes, people who made it big before 25. But for every early bloomer, there are countless late bloomers who prove one thing. Your timeline is not broken, it's just different. Let's look at a few real stories that shatter the myth of too late. At 23, Oprah was told she was unfit for television. She was demoted from her role as a news anchor in Baltimore. Instead of giving up, she pivoted, hosting a local morning talk show that slowly gained popularity. By her 30s, The Oprah Winfrey Show became a household name. She didn't peak early, she pivoted with purpose, and took her time. Let's take Colonel Sanders, the man behind KFC. He didn't find success until he was 65. Harlan Sanders was fired from multiple jobs. At age 40, he ran a service station and cooked for travelers. By 65, he had a fried chicken recipe and a dream, but no money. He hit the road, pitching his recipe to restaurants across the U.S. He was rejected over 1,000 times before someone said yes. At an age where most people are told to settle down, he started over. Vera Wang entered fashion at 40. Vera Wang didn't even enter the fashion world until she was 40. Before she was a global fashion icon, Vera Wang was a figure skater and a journalist. She didn't design her first wedding dress until 40. Today, her brand is a worldwide symbol of elegance and luxury. She didn't rush, she reinvented herself, on her own clock. Stan Lee created Marvel's first hit at 39. Stan Lee worked in comics for decades, but it wasn't until age 39 that he helped create the Fantastic Four. Stan Lee worked in comics for decades, but it wasn't until age 39 that he co-created the Fantastic Four. Then came Spider-Man, the X-Men, Iron Man. He didn't just create superheroes, he became one. Late in the game. J.K. Rowling, single mom, on welfare, debuted at 32. At 30, J.K. Rowling was a single mother, struggling to make ends meet. At 32, her first book changed everything. At 30, she was divorced, raising a child alone, and living on government assistance. She wrote Harry Potter in cafes while struggling with depression. It took 12 publishers to find one who believed in her. By 32, her first book was out. The rest is history. What do they all have in common? None of them were on time. None of them followed society's script. But every single one of them honored their own timeline, embraced failure as a part of growth, didn't let age or delays define their destiny. You're not too late, you're just getting ready. These stories aren't exceptions, they're proof that meaningful success rarely follows a straight path. So if you're 29 and still figuring things out, you're not late. If you're 35 and changing careers, you're not behind. If you're 40 and just starting to dream again, you're not broken. You're becoming. And becoming takes time. Maybe you're not behind. Maybe you're being prepared. You see, your timeline, with all its detours and delays, it's not a mistake. It's easy to look at your life and think, I should have figured this out by now. Why did it take me so long? Everyone else seems ahead. But what if the delays weren't detours, they were designed? What if the heartbreak, the confusion, the restarts weren't setbacks, but setups? There's wisdom in the wait. The truth is, growth takes time. You needed to fail so you could let go of perfection. You needed to wander so you could learn what doesn't fit. You needed heartbreak to open your heart wider, not smaller. You needed to unlearn who you were told to be, to become who you actually are. Every step, even the slow ones, shaped you. So stop wishing for a rewind. Start trusting the process. In a world obsessed with how fast, dare to ask how true. Because if you rush into a career that doesn't align, if you jump into a relationship out of fear, if you chase a version of success that empties your soul, then what are you really building? Don't trade alignment for approval. Don't sacrifice truth for pace. Let your life bloom at its own rhythm. There's no right time, there's your time. You're not a failure. You're in progress. You're not running out of time. You're running toward the right time. And the version of you that will arrive there? They'll carry all the wisdom, scars, patience, and power this journey gave you. So breathe. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're becoming exactly on time. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. That's the truth about growth. It's often silent, invisible, uncelebrated, but it's there, shaping you, strengthening you. Sometimes, the hardest part about growth is that you can't always see it. You're putting in the work. You're showing up. You're trying. But there's no applause, no clear reward, no breakthrough yet, so you ask yourself, am I even moving forward? Is this doing anything? Why does it still feel like I'm stuck? But the truth is, progress is quiet. Healing doesn't come with fireworks. Clarity rarely announces itself. Strength is often built in silence. Just because your growth isn't loud, doesn't mean it's not real. Imagine a seed under soil. For weeks, maybe months, you see nothing. But underground, the roots are growing, quietly and powerfully. Then, one day, it breaks through. Not because it suddenly started growing, but because it had been all along. You are the same. Every small habit, every difficult decision, every day you didn't give up, is building a life you haven't fully seen yet. You're not behind, you're rooted, and when the bloom comes, it will come fast, but only because you were patient enough to wait. We live in a world obsessed with results. Show me the numbers. What have you achieved? Where's the proof you're making it? But you can't always measure the invisible. The discipline you built when no one was watching. The self-control you practiced instead of reacting. The nights you chose reflection over distraction. The healing you gave yourself in silence. These things don't show up on a resume. But they show up in who you're becoming. So many people give up right before the turning point. One more step, and they would have seen it. One more month, and the breakthrough would have arrived. One more effort, and the door would have opened. But they stopped, not because they weren't capable, but because they couldn't see the progress. So hear this clearly. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because it's slow doesn't mean it's stuck. And just because you can't see it, doesn't mean it's not working. You weren't born to live someone else's dream. Maybe that's what's been making you feel so disconnected lately. You're trying to squeeze your soul into a template built by someone else. Parents, society, Instagram, but your journey isn't meant to look like theirs. And success? It should feel like freedom, not pressure. Ask yourself honestly, what does success really mean to you? Not what your parents told you. Not what society celebrates. Not what your friends post about. But you, in your quietest moments, what feels like a life well lived? For decades, we were taught that success equals money, status, speed, get rich young, be busy 24/7, be known, be admired, be envied. But that kind of success has a dark side. Burnout disguised as ambition, comparison disguised as motivation, emptiness disguised as achievement. Many people have made it and feel more lost than ever. Because they climbed a ladder that was leaning on the wrong wall. Let's break it down. Real success might mean waking up with peace of mind, loving how you treat others, doing work that aligns with your values, having time for the people you love, saying no without guilt, being able to rest without shame. These aren't flashy metrics. They don't get you viral attention, but they lead to a meaningful life, not just a marketable one. If you don't define success for yourself, someone else will, and here's the danger, they'll define it in a way that serves them, not you. So pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want, not just in 10 years? But this week, what makes me feel fulfilled, not just impressive? What kind of legacy do I want to leave, not on LinkedIn, but in the hearts of others? Write your own definition, live by that, let that be your mission. Maybe you're not a millionaire. Maybe you don't have millions of followers. But maybe you're kinder than you used to be. You're more resilient than you were last year. You're listening to your intuition more. You're healing from things that once broke you. If so, you're not failing. You're succeeding, just silently. And maybe that's the most powerful kind. Stop racing toward the future and start honoring the now. That line hits different, doesn't it? We're always in a hurry. rushing through days, chasing what's next, thinking life begins when we arrive. But the truth is, life is happening now. The growth, the love, the healing, the beauty, it's all here. In motion. The journey is the destination. We've been told that life is a ladder. Climb fast, reach the top, then you'll finally be happy. But here's the truth, every time you reach the top, it moves. A new goal, a new pressure, a new standard to chase. So you keep running, but never arrive. You stay busy, but never present. What if the goal was never a place? What if it was this moment, right now? We say things like, once I get that job, I'll feel confident. Once I meet the right person, I'll be happy. Once I hit that number, I'll feel successful. But how many times have you gotten there and still felt like something was missing? That's not failure. That's a sign. Fulfillment is not at the finish line, it's in the steps. Real life happens between the milestones. In the mornings you didn't give up. In the quiet moments of reflection. In the laughter with friends. In the courage to try again. In the peace you find on a random Tuesday. This is the life you're building. Not just someday, but today. If you're waiting to be proud of yourself only after you arrive, you'll miss the beauty of how far you've already come. Live today, not just tomorrow. Instead of asking, when will I get there? Ask, what can I love about where I am now? How can I show up fully today? What if this is the point, not just the path to it? Because when you start seeing the journey as the destination, pressure fades, presence grows, and life becomes something you experience, not just endure. You are not behind, you are becoming. Every step you've taken matters. Every slow morning, every honest tear, every small act of courage. They are not delays, they are the story. You're not missing out, you're living it, not rushed, not late, not lost. Present. Becoming. Alive. Exactly on time. You are not late, you are not lost, you are not behind. You are becoming, exactly on time. Take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and ask yourself, what if I'm doing better than I thought? What if there's no rush, only rhythm? What if I'm already enough, even as I grow? You were never supposed to follow their map. You're not a copy. You're not a timeline to be compared. You're a one-of-a-kind story, unfolding in perfect imperfection. And your path? It was never supposed to match theirs. Your pain shaped your compassion. Your delays shaped your wisdom. Your silence shaped your strength. Your mistakes shaped your meaning. None of it was wasted. All of it was preparation. The real you was never late. It's easy to believe the lie. If I were better, I'd be further. But maybe you're not behind, maybe you're deepening. Maybe you're not stuck, maybe you're solidifying. Maybe you're not failing, maybe you're forging something the world can't yet see. The real you doesn't bloom on demand. The real you blooms when it's ready. And that, my friend, is divine timing. This is your life. Don't miss it. Right now, you're breathing. Right now, you're becoming. Right now, you're living a moment you'll look back on and realize. That's when it all began to change. So don't miss this chapter waiting for the next one. Show up for this day. Honor this version of you. Celebrate this becoming, because it's sacred. Let go of the timeline. Trust the timing. You don't need to fix your pace. You don't need to catch up. You don't need to apologize for your season. You just need to trust it. Lean into it. And remember, you're not late, you're in progress, you're becoming, and you're right on time. If this message spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs this reminder too. And if you'd like more moments like this, you know where to find us. Subscribe, stay connected, keep growing.